Welcome to another episode, TXCPA Houston Virtual Rolodex. As I've said in previous episodes, we are doing a series highlighting the accounting profession. It is something I'm very passionate about and love hearing and sharing the stories of different CPAs, accountants, and finance professionals in the Houston area. And we may even take this global. Who knows? So today I have a special guest. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Vladimir Amiouny, and I am a CPA. So it's funny, Kristie, you say taking this global. I think you kind of did. So I was a little bit about me. I was born in Canada, but raised here in the Houston area, which I've grown to call home, which has been awesome. And then that journey took me to Texas A&M University where I got my bachelor's in accounting and my master's in finance. So I did their PPA program there, their 4+1 program, and it was great. Prepared me really well for my CPAs, and now I am a audit and assurance senior at Deloitte here in Houston. So really enjoying that so far.
Great, great. Yeah, international. So look at that. I've already hit that goal. We're done. No. Um, can you tell us a little bit what it means to be an audit and assurance senior? Because
Sure.
we hear the titles, but I like to give a little background. What does that really mean?
Great question. So I think I'll probably start with a bit about what it means to be an audit and assurance. And so basically, when as an external auditor, what I do is I look at a company's financial statements, and if they're a public company, or if we're also asked to, we look at their internal controls. And what I do, or what I guess the PPMD, the partner, does, is provides an opinion, and that opinion is based on the work of a whole team. So what we do is we test all the financial data for fairness and accuracy and make sure that everything's properly presented and make sure that their system of internal controls is designed and operating effectively. So as a senior, I guess it's my third year at the firm. So that's you kind of spend a couple years as a staff where you're doing all the grunt work and you're doing the testing yourself. And now I'm in more of a review role, and also a people development role, right? So I have my staff under me who I've really enjoyed working with and get to review their work and mentor them and teach them how to do a high quality audit. So it's a good time.
That's wonderful. I love the mentoring, because leadership, there's your manager and then, or there's management and then there's leadership. And I always say,
Mhm.
like, the leader is mentoring, it's coaching and being that supportive. And it seems like that's the role that you have taken on. So that is great. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I always love getting this question. So now I love asking this question. What does
Sure.
your day to day look like?
I mean, that's a good question, and it really depends. I would say maybe I'll talk a little bit more about audit. Audits are really broken up into, I would say, four parts, where we have our planning phase, our interim testing phase, our final testing phase, and then our reporting phase. And so they all look very different, right? But maybe I'll talk. I'm sure everyone's so curious about busy season, and
Yes.
so and so what kind of my day-to-day looks like there, which busy season is our final testing phase. And why that's so busy is because we get our numbers from the client and we have to perform all our year-end testing to make sure that those numbers are fair and accurate and can go out to the public. And what my day to day there would look like is, I we like to do daily stand up calls on my team, and so we're also in office 3 days a week. So that might just mean getting into a conference room for a few minutes, talking about maybe our goals for the day, anything that we maybe didn't accomplish the day before, or the week before, right? So we go about setting our goals. I'm going to review, so I'll tell my staff, I'm going to review this. I'm going to review cash today because you sent it up to me yesterday, right? And I'll review that. A lot of client conversations. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of the job is, and especially going in person. We would go into our client site 3 days a week, and I would just walk around and get to talk to the client, ask them, some maybe serious accounting questions, and then I just found out that uh, we have this tough client to crack, this tough client contact. But I just found out that we share a common goal of trying to get to all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. So we've gotten to connect on that, and now she is no longer our toughest client contact. She's been really nice lately, and so that's been good. So walk around, talk to the client. Do and review my work, review my staff's work, and yeah, that's what a day looks like.
Yeah, I think busy season is something that everyone, those who are just thinking about going into accounting, who are studying accounting, or maybe you went to industry and you're like
Mhm,
wondering what does the public life look like. So thank you
mhm,
for that overview. And I love the fact that you did you do walk around and you talk to your clients, you get to know them because that does make a difference as someone who
mhm, definitely.
is on the client side. I enjoy those non-accounting conversations, and I'm going to plug in a previous virtual Rolodex podcast from John Garrett, and it's what's your and so that's exactly what you did. You asked what's your and oh my
Mhm,
goodness, we have something in common.
mhm.
And I love that you brought that up. What motivated you to go down the accounting route?
That's a really good question. I'll say I kind of fell into the accounting
Okay.
route, and so uh, I I've been really blessed with a lot of great mentors, um, and the first of those being my introduction to accounting professor out at A&M, Jackie Knope. She's awesome, and basically well, if we want to rewind a little further, I didn't want to go to A&M. I wanted to go anywhere else, and then I told my parents, I said I'm never going to A&M, and then I ended up going to A&M, and then I got into Mays business school, and I said, you know what, I'll do anything but accounting. And then I took that first intro to accounting course, and I liked it. I was decent at it, um, and my professor really saw something in me. She said, "Hey, I'd love for you to be my TA." And I said, "Sure, that sounds great." And so I ended up becoming a TA for the class. And what she didn't tell me was that all the TAs in that, all of her TAs ended up becoming CPAs. So they were a part of this professional program of accounting, which I didn't even want to do want to do. And so, but I was a TA and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm gonna do. And the nice thing at A&M is that I got the chance to do my master's degree in something other than accounting because I wanted to diversify. My experience, and I didn't want to just do accounting all the way through. I wanted to learn about other industries and other career paths just to give myself some future flexibility. So I got my master's in finance. I said this is great, and then I was still like, okay, do I pursue finance or accounting? And then the great thing about this PPA program at A&M is all the big four accounting firms, the industry firms, they all come to College Station and they recruit us as students, right? And I saw my friends in finance, and they were like flying out to New York and doing all these 3 day long case interviews, and I was like, I don't think I have it in me. And so I did do one little finance internship, I think after my sophomore year, and I didn't love it. And so that kind of solidified my decision where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try out this internship. It's ready made. They're coming to me. So I I did that. I interned. I loved it. I met a lot of really great people. We had a really strong intern class group, even though it was funny, my internship was during COVID, so it was mostly virtual. But I'll never forget the last day we had a group of us in Houston that we went to a brewery after the last day of our internship, and it was the first time we'd ever seen each other in person. And so just our little intern group. So that was, I'll never forget that. But yeah, and then I started full time. So long story short, that's how I fell into accounting.
I love it. And I love the fact that you admit that you said, I never will, because I've said that a few times in my life. And it's amazing where the path has led me down to where I
Mhm.
say, I never will. Like
Mhm.
one of them was, I will never move to Houston. And
Yeah.
I've been here 15 years. So I now I don't say never.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love that. And the insights on the internships, I think is very important of,
Mhm.
what does that look like for those that like, well, A&M did that.
Mhm.
Trust me, the UH does it. Everyone has these internship
Mhm.
opportunities, and it's getting
Mhm.
involved with these different clubs, including I'm going to put a plug in for
Mhm.
TXCPA Houston, as we do have a student auxiliary, and throughout the state of Texas, we have different student programs. So, what are some positive aspects you can say you can already see as being a CPA? Because you just got your
Mhm.
designation. What are some
Mhm.
positive things that have happened?
That's a good question. I, I just a sense of accomplishment. Honestly, it's a long process, and it's a very, I think it's something I take very seriously because as another professor I had, uh, Dr. Schaub, he would always talk about the responsibility we have to the public, right? And I think that that's something that now that I have those three letters after my name, it's something that I've really been able to take to heart, um, and implement in my daily life. And obviously, the goal is to implement that even when you start, if you're not a CPA, and before you get your CPA. But now, having jumped through all the hoops, it's been really cool to see how I've been able to put that into practice.
What would you say to someone who's on the edge of like going accounting or
Mhm.
maybe thinking finance or
Yeah,
maybe even thinking something crazy like engineering?
yeah, right.
What would you say to them?
That's a great question, and I think fitting since that was kind of the position I was in back in the day. I would say that you you need to try to get as much experience as possible. So put yourself out there and go get an internship over the summer, or see if you can shadow someone for a week or two. Even at a smaller firm, or at the big four, or shadow an engineer, or yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart. Internship, shadowing,
Mhm.
just asking questions like what
Mhm.
kind of like the questions I'm asking. So if you're like, but Christy, I did not write down the questions, you can email me and I will give you the questions I'm asking. What is one misconception you think the accounting and CPA profession has that you would just be
Mhm.
like, this is not true?
Yeah, I think I think there's been work to debunk this one, but I still see it out there, and it's uh, that all CPAs are like tax accountants, and all they do is like sit behind a desk and like never talk to anyone. And so one for the tax part, I mean, even my family, they're still like, so you gonna do my taxes? And I'm like, no, I'm an auditor. So there's that part of it. But then there's also, I think we've already talked about client interactions, but so there's that piece of it. But there's also just the interaction of, especially if you go big four, right? You're starting with like a lot of people who are your same age. And if I look like 2 years up and 2 years down, right, there's hundreds of people at the firm, at each of the big four firms, that are right in my same kind of phase of life. And there's just something really cool about that. in the friendships that you can form and the relationships and the happy hours and the intramural kickball leagues and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really there CPAs are social too. So I'll say that.
Hey, you know what? I say CPAs also means coolest people around. So
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
I need to get it trademarked. I haven't done that yet. That trademark paperwork, though, that's really hard. Uh, a lot of red tape. But what we're to the end of our interview. What's a
Mhm.
couple things you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh man. I'll what do I want to leave you guys with? Thanks for listening. And I think that your your connections and the people that you surround yourself with really make a big difference. So I've talked about a few of those people today with y'all, but just make sure you're surrounding yourself with um, really smart and ethical and good people, and that'll take you a long way. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So
Oh, that is such great advice. Thank you so much for being a guest today. I appreciate you taking the time. And thank you to listening. If you're on YouTube viewing this, we really appreciate your support and enjoy your day. Thank you.
thanks, Kristie. Thanks, everyone.